contact you separately?
You can just text me.
Okay,
My number's in the WhatsApp, so yeah, just shoot me a text.
got it. Thank you.
Trout, I'm gonna make you co-host if you can help me with letting people in.
Yes, sir. You
Appreciate
got
you.
it.
All right, good morning. I started out this morning with an intention, and the intention was to get to the office super early and have dedicated time to sit down and write an outline for this meeting. And then, things happen and conversations happen. And what didn't happen is the outline. So we're going to come into this a little more free form, freestyle. I think like where we left off last week is we spent last week kind of talking about just resilience and mindset. And we've kind of been oscillating back and forth between resilience, between mindset stuff and tactical stuff. I had another conversation with a gentleman over the weekend that I thought also was useful because this business does test the holy heck out of you. And the highs and the lows, and the you gotta, this thing broke and got to figure that out, and this thing we got to go solve this problem, and now this carrier is not giving us the answer that. So it's like we are professional problem solvers, which is true of any business, but it's just especially apparent in this business. And whether it's you're solving problems for yourself or you're solving problems for the team that you're leading, the yeah, there's really no shortage. So that's neither here nor there. I wanted to check in with you guys and see first and foremost if there's things that have come up from the last week that you kind of were able to employ some of the things we chatted about last week, and if that worked for you. If not, but any feedback from the last one of these that we did based on our training last week. I'll take that as a no. So if you're on my team and you've been a part of our nightly trainings, then this is probably going to be a little repetitive, but I do think it bears repeating. Um, we had a call that Mr. Mike Womack was actually sitting in my office for the other night, and I think it provides a rather useful tactical training for us here today. Uh, just to give you some backstory, it was this was kind of one of the, every now and then you get one of those sales calls that like really, really is kind of test your sales skills. It's like not a laydown. It's not easy. You're getting a ton you're getting a ton of objections. You're getting trying to get this person to recalibrate their expectations. You're trying to get them to acknowledge that, yeah, they want the world and they want the world on a shoestring budget. And so we have to really recalibrate a person to get them on board with what it is that we can do for them. Uh, and what came out of that whole session was Mike asked me, he said, hey, I saw you bouncing back and forth on the screen. He said, but what's happening in your head? Like, where are you trying to go with the conversation, and what's happening in your mind as you're having this conversation? And we were fortunate enough to then, shortly after that conversation, we had a kind of team training session that night that helped to solidify some of those ideas and help to kind of just bring it all into kind of more of a framework that I think is useful for all of us to probably think about or at least be aware of. And so that's what I wanted to spend some time on today. But before I get to that, is there anything specific that has come up for you guys that you've said, gosh, this isn't clicking for me, or I'm running into this challenge, or how do you think about this? Anything at all that's specific to you guys before I just go on a tangent of what I think is useful? I would love to hear if there's things that you guys would find useful that we can directly address, since that'll probably provide immediate value to everybody. No challenges. Okay, badass. Dude, we got million. Travis, hey, put it on the board. $100,000 a month writers, everybody right here. So good. I expect to see that because that means we're running into no challenges. We've got this thing mastered and figured out. I don't have it mastered and I don't have it figured out. And I'm consistently at the top of the leaderboard here in Pinnacle Nation. It'd be kind of weird if I can't remember the last month that I was not at least in top three. But I think pretty much every other month I've been in the one or two spot, or pretty much every month I've been somewhere close to that. And I'll tell you first and foremost that I still, I'm learning stuff every day, either through my own process or through joining these things, learning and also learning things from you guys when I hear different talk tracks and things in the business. So be students and also be curious. And if you're coming across things throughout the week that says, gosh, I wonder how other people do this. This would be interesting to learn about. Write those things down, bring this training. Let's talk about it. I think that's you're going to get more value that way, and not even just this training and trainings in general. If you're taking note of some of the things you're encountering during the week and then surfacing those to have people who have either achieved what you're asked to have people who have achieved what you're aspiring to achieve opine on the challenges and roadblocks that you're running into. That's how you're going to derive the most value, not just in this business, but in any business relationship. You guys go get some mentors and you come to those mentors and he says, hey, what challenge did you run into? You're like, I don't know, nothing. That mentor is going to say, well, what the fuck are we doing here? So not that that's relevant to this conversation, but it's useful to keep track of those things as you go throughout the week, so that you can provide some ammunition or fuel for your folks that are leading some of these, as well as other folks that are speaking. So, anyways, back to the this framework. So, Mike had asked me. He said, "Hey, what's going through your head as you're talking with these clients?" And so I wanted to lay out for you guys is this framework of what are we thinking about when we're talking with clients. And the first and foremost is like, I don't know, who here is calling fresh mortgage leads? Just show of hands if you're calling on fresh. Okay, Travis is calling on fresh. Tate kinda. Is that it? It's just two of us. Everyone else here is calling aged digital or aged mailer leads. Tate, are you calling aged mailer leads? Show of hands if you're calling aged mailer
Yeah.
leads. Okay. Okay, cool. So there's anytime, no matter what you're calling, you're going to find yourself talking with somebody trying to figure out what is the direction I can take this conversation, right? If it's fresh digital, we're trying to figure out, can we pay off the house? We can only do three things, right? We can either pay off the house, we can pay for the house, or we can pay down the house. So you pay off the mortgage, pay for the mortgage, pay down the mortgage. That's pretty much it. Or there's, I guess, I suppose, like that whole critical period, we're going to cover it for X amount of months. That falls into paying for the mortgage. And does everybody understand? Like, obviously, paying off the house is pretty straightforward. Paying down the house, I think, is something that's often overlooked. And it's a really powerful pathway when, because everyone and their mother wants to pay off the house and they want to do it for very, very little. Um, so the concept is anytime we're on the phone, we're trying to figure out which of these three pathways can we take this individual. And I suppose there's a fourth if it's a policy replacement, in which case we really have two pathways there. We can either beat the pricing going head to head. So we can get them more coverage, less money, or same coverage, less, or more coverage, same money, or same coverage, less money. Right. So that's pathway one in a policy replacement. Pathway two in a policy replacement is, can we undermine that policy's strategy or plan and present a different plan that's more effective for the client? Because most of you guys are calling the aged mailers, let's talk about this policy replacement a little more deeply, uh, because it sounds like that's more relevant. Is everybody agreeing with that, or you guys want to talk about the first one? Okay, policy replacements. Tate, thank you. Appreciate you.
Let's
So
go.
there
I
we
see
go.
Denny's with us.
I like that energy. Appreciate you. On the policy replacements, so like I said, we can either go head to head. That's really straightforward. You've got X amount of coverage. There's other carriers. Who did you do that with? Oh yeah, we're approved with such and such. There's new programs that have come out. Pricing changed this year, blah, blah, blah. Let's figure out what you have and see if we can save you some money or get you some free coverage for your family. And that's pathway one. Who here encounters the challenge of, oh, that sounds great, but I really don't want to switch? Who encounters that when they're trying to do a policy replacement? Yeah, that's a pretty common one. How do you guys overcome that? Kyle, how do you overcome it?
With that specifically, I mean, I just try to dig into their policy exactly to one, see if it's graded. The second one is it's not always the one thing I've ran into, Dustin. Maybe you can help with this. Is if I can get them like $4 or $5 a month better premium for the same coverage, just getting them to switch over. Basically, the reason why they won't switch over is they just don't want to go through the process of the application again. I ran into this like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, and $4 to $5 really isn't enough to justify it. I mean, what's $4 to $5?
Yeah.
And not to mention there's the risk if I got to give all my information to somebody that I don't know and I'm comfortable with where I'm at. $4 to $5 really isn't enough of an incentive. Okay,
Mm,
and so we haven't figured out how to overcome that yet.
yeah.
Okay, I got that one. Caden, what's up with you? What you got?
I actually got that yesterday, and this is how I tried to overcome that objection. So just let me know if there's a better way to do it. All right. So he said, I'm fine with what I got, and I was like, yeah, perfect, Dustin. Whatever choice you make actually doesn't affect me. But I'm assuming, like most families, you probably sent in a couple requests to make sure that your family's in the best position as possible. Is that right? Oh, probably. Okay. Well, that's just my job. I've been reassigned to go ahead and review your policy to make sure that you still are in the best health class and you are in the best, position for your family. That's how I tried to overcome it. Didn't work for me, but didn't know if that was kind of the proper way to do it.
I think that's one way to do it. I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to get a client to leave what they currently have for something that we tell them is better without really evidence. Like we don't really have evidence that we're presenting to them to show them like, here's what you have that's going to be better. Like we could take a screenshot of something, but that's kind of whatever. So what's happening there is the client doesn't trust you that much, right? You called them out of the blue and they're saying, I don't know this guy from Adam. They don't trust you. And that's first and foremost. So they're not going to believe what you're saying. And for them to take a risk that they're going to give you all this information, spend a bunch more time with you on the phone, and then go into something that they're not familiar with over $4 or $5, I'm not going to take that risk. That's where they're at, primarily because they don't trust you. So I want to propose something different. And if the savings is more, so there's it's almost like there's a sweet spot. The savings is either too little, it's like sub $15, or the savings is too much and they don't believe that either. Right. So like I've had a client where we could have saved them like $120 a month and it was too good to be true for them. And that was hard for her to understand. It took me like 4 calls to get that deal closed because she just didn't believe it. But let's address if that savings is $5, $10, $15, how to handle that. If it's $5, $10, $15, I don't know that you can win a head-to-head competition because they don't trust you and you haven't had enough time to build the trust yet. So I would start undermining the policy itself. Like attack the plan. Guys, at the end of the day, people they put a policy in place not because they want a policy. They put something in place because they want a plan for their family. They want to know that their family's going to be okay. Right? If you get somebody that says, I want to pay off the whole house, and you ask them, okay, great. Like, tell me why you want to pay off the house. Well, I don't want my family to have to worry about it. Okay. And what makes you think that they would worry about it? Like, tell me more. Well, I just want to make sure that they're okay and that they're not going to be in a difficult position. Okay. So what we really care about is we want to make sure the family's okay. They're not going to be in a difficult position. And what you communicate, what I just heard from you is that paying off the whole house is a way to do that. And so that's why you want to pay it off. Did I hear that correctly? And they're like, yeah. And I say, okay, but am I also understanding that the goal isn't paying off the house. The goal is making sure the family's okay. So what we're really after is a plan that ensures the safety, security of your family. Did I hear that right? And they're like, yeah. And so that's how we get them off of paying off the whole house. But we can apply that same methodology when we have a policy that's already in place and we know that we're only going to save them $4 or $5, right? So when we find that savings is very small, we say, okay, and so tell me, what's this policy supposed to do? Like, what's it supposed to do? And they'll say a couple different things. They'll either say, well, I don't know. That's just what they gave me. Or they'll say, I don't know. That's just how much I could qualify for. That's how much I could afford. Or they'll say, well, it's going to pay off. It's going to pay for 12 months of the mortgage payments. And no matter what they say, you say, okay, and why, just why 12 months? Like, why that number specifically? And they'll say, so, well, I don't know. That's what the guy told me. Or, well, I want my spouse to be able to afford the home for a year. Okay. Why a year? And I'm going to keep asking why until I get them to a point that they say, I don't know. I don't know. That's just what the guy told me. And the second that we can get them to say, I don't know, right now we have a hook in. And so now we can say, they'll say, I don't know. And we say, hey, it's okay. I didn't expect that you would. There's a lot of junior agents out there that they just pick a coverage amount. And, obviously, like, what field are you in? You're in nursing. I don't know the first thing about nursing. And I wouldn't expect you to know the ins and outs of mortgage protection and life insurance and estate planning. That's my job. So what I want to chat about is, every policy should have a very specific job. Why did you get this policy in the first place? Like, what was the primary concern? And they'll say something. And so immediately we can kind of go to, okay, what we've just heard from the client is they have a policy. They don't really have a plan. They just have, well, it's going to pay for 12 months of the mortgage payments. Like, okay, what about the final expenses? Like, what about the burial, cremation, or like full celebration of life? Okay. And what if there's if there's like a fire, or there's a flood, or there's a storm that, knocks a tree branch and puts a dent in the roof? What if there's all these things that can go wrong and there's an emergency? How does that change the plan? Does the plan account for that? Do we have something that would account for that? Okay. And if it's going to pay for 12 months, I assume that means that your spouse is going to have to move. So is there family near there, or how are we going to facilitate the move? And we can start asking these questions and get them to a point of like, gosh, yeah, I don't know. Say, okay, hey, this is really common. That's actually, again, this is why I'm calling, is I've been assigned to your case because it looks like a junior agent put this in place. There's other programs that came out this year that would be better for your family. And that's why I've been assigned to call you. So let's just walk through this. First and foremost, let's figure out what our plan should be. So is it okay if I get to know you a little bit so I can help guide you in this conversation and guide you towards the plan, which is going to help make sure your family's safe, secure, and protected? And what we're trying to do is get the client off of thinking about the policy in a head-to-head fashion where it's like, well, can you save me money or not? Instead, we're trying to get them to think about, do I have the right coverage? If we can get them asking that question, then that opens the door for us to advise them and offer them something different than what they have that may be more or less expensive. Does that make sense? Case in point, I had a guy actually in California. He's up in the Bay Area. He had a $25,000 policy with like Royal Neighbors or something. And Royal Neighbors was the lowest cost policy there was. Like Forrester's was going to be like $8 more expensive. And so I'm like, oh, I can't compete head to head. Like I can't beat the price. Getting him to increase the coverage amount at a higher price, like that's probably not going to work. So I got to ask him all these questions to get him to see like maybe he has either too much or too much coverage or not enough. And so the talk track is, hey, listen, I totally understand. In this profession, and I see this all the time, being overinsured is just as bad as being underinsured. If you're overinsured, you're paying way too much and you're draining your cash flow for something you don't need. And if you're underinsured, your plan has some potential leaks in it that has the capacity to put your family in a difficult position. So let's walk through this and then let's see. And if what you have, if that agent just happened to hit the nail right on the head, then great. I'll tell you, and you'll know that you have the absolute best thing in the market, and the best thing for your family, and you'll know that your family's safe, secure, and protected. Does that sound like that's worth a couple minutes? Everyone says yes. So thank you, Ellie. That's a really good way to put it. We just create doubt in we sow seeds of doubt in what they have. We poke some holes. We get them to say, I don't know. And we get them to acknowledge that they don't have it all the way thought through. Whether you're calling on fresh mortgage leads or aged mailer leads, if we find they have a policy, our brain has to go to sowing seeds of doubt, whether it's seeds of doubt in terms of they got this a few years ago when maybe their health condition was, shortly after they had something that put them into a higher risk class, or that maybe they got a policy from a carrier that has a higher cost profile. Maybe there's new programs that are out there that are more cost effective for them, whatever it is, or maybe they just don't have a plan put together. So that's how what immediately when I hear they already have a policy, oh, fantastic. I'm so happy to hear that you already have that in place. Tell me a little more. Like, what is it? And I'm listening for if they say term, I love that. I love it when clients already have a term policy in place. Oh, okay, great, great. And I'm sure, tell me why you put that in place. Tell me why you got that term. And I'm just asking a million questions. And Tate, if they're saying, well, that's really none of your business. Hey, you're right. It's not. It's really not my business. This is your business. It's your family's business. And you don't have to answer any questions that you feel uncomfortable asking or uncomfortable answering. The role that I play here is, our goals are aligned. You want to make sure your family is safe, secure, protected, and I want to do that too. That's why I'm here. Whether you and I ever do business together or not, that's not why I got into this profession. I got into this to help families because I've seen so many that thought they had something, turned out to be something different, and their family ended up in hardship. So again, don't answer any question that you don't feel comfortable answering. But I want to make sure that you have what is going to help protect your family. Are we aligned on that at least? And we get them back in the boat in terms of making sure that we're aligned. But if you're getting, well, that's you can't dive into this in the first 5 seconds, right? Obviously you have to get a hook in. You got to get them to open up to you a little bit. You feel like a wuss for not answering that? What do you mean, Tate?
Like if you explain that to me and just relieved all the pressure, it's like, look, you don't have to answer this. This is your business. It's my responsibility. ...
Yeah. And you can say, hey, listen, at the end of the day, it's not my business. This is your business and it's your family's safety and security. The reason that I'm here is that, listen, I've been doing this for a long time. I help make sure that families have a bulletproof plan in place to know that their family's going to be safe, secure, and protected. And that plan is something that can be shared so that way your spouse is on the same page with you. That's why I'm here. But if you don't want to share that with me, you don't have to answer any questions you feel uncomfortable answering. And like that one line, hey, listen, if you feel uncomfortable answering any question, don't. Just let me know. We'll move on. So I understand right now, I'm just a voice on the end of the phone. I'm a stranger to you, and that can feel some kind of way. And so the last thing, like, I get that you may not trust me yet. You will. And I'm okay. This is a marathon, not a sprint. We can take our time to get there. I don't expect to have earned your trust already. We've only been talking for 5 minutes. But if you spend a little more time with me, I promise I will earn that trust. People typically will say, oh, okay. And you sell into whatever their objection is and they'll lower the shoulders and then you kind of continue on. Does that make sense? Yeah. So where I'm going with a policy replacement, it's one of two things. If you find out like, oh yeah, they got some whole life policy and they're healthy as can be, great. Well, we can probably flip them into an IUL and we're gonna smoke whatever they have. If they have a term policy, great. I'm gonna undermine the holy daylights out of term. I'm going to have them pull out their phone. I'm going to have them Google on average how many term policies actually pay out. And they're going to see 1 to 3%. And then I'm going to say, yeah, it's kind of alarming because the insurance carrier is not going to issue a term policy to somebody they think has a probability of passing within the term. Don't get me wrong, term can be very useful. And I'm sure you took that out because you had kids at home or something like that. Why did you take that policy out? But I'm always positioning back into understanding why did they get it? What was their intention? What's it supposed to do for their family? And then if it's a term and that term is going to expire at age 84, I'm going to say, okay, so, well, you're 71 now. And this term sounds like you got about 14 years left on it. And that's age 84. What happens if you live to 85? What's the plan? What's the plan after 84? Well, yeah, I don't know. I guess you'd have to figure it out. Okay. And do you guys have like savings or is there, something you haven't shared with me that would make sure that she's okay? Or is it, if you live to 85, we're in a pretty tight spot. And again, we're just looking for whatever hole that we can find. And if they do not know what the plan is for that policy, you attack that. Like, do not go head to head if you don't have to. If you don't have to, like it's very seldom that I don't think I've talked to a single person where I've asked these questions and they've said, yeah, this plan is going to pay for my mortgage. It's going to provide money for my final expenses. It's going to make sure that my spouse has money for an emergency. And it's going to do that. I've never come across that. So that gives us ammunition to ask questions and poke holes in whatever plan it is that they have. And the second that we get them doubting what they have, we've opened the door for us to come in and present a better plan. So the second that we can stop thinking about these as policies, we start thinking about them as plans, we're more well positioned to serve our clients, and we're more well positioned to overcome and provide better solutions than whatever they already have in place. So this goes back to, guys, listen, we can only really do one of three things. We can either pay off the mortgage, pay for the mortgage, or pay down the mortgage. And we only have indexed universal life, whole life, term, and accidental to do that with. We only sell 4 products, and there's only 3 types of plans. So the question then becomes, how can I use those 4 products that I have at my disposal to provide the best plan for this person? But the second we start thinking about it is like, I'm not selling a policy. I'm here to help my client develop a plan, and we're going to use life insurance policies to execute that plan. The game changes a little bit. All right, we got a couple minutes left. Questions, comments, concerns, anything coming up for you guys?
I got a question. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. Go right ahead, Mike.
Okay. So one thing that I feel like a new person may overlook in your training right now that I think is phenomenal, and listening to you in the last couple of days in your office, that I think you are incredible at, is how smooth you pivot in each question. And so it's very much what I have found in sales is we accept their answer and move on to the next phase instead of digging. And what you do and what you're expressing right now is how many levels deep can you go with that till you find the hole? And I like to give an analogy with everything. So anybody here like pie?
Yeah, I love pie.
Okay. How many times have you went and just ate the crust of a pie? Only. Like,
Never
what if
done-
somebody just served you the crust?
Never
So
done
there's-
that.
Right. So there should be layers to everything we're doing. And when you say this right now, it's just clicking for me. I'm not even on the phones yet, but like this training is phenomenal to me. It's like I could listen to it for the next 5 days. So
Thank you,
just
Mike.
to get it in my head, because like all you've got to do is attack the plan, attack the policy, or attack the process. I mean, and you'll find a hole, you know? And so as soon as you have some kind of insecurity, you have a door open.
That's right.
So I love it.
Thank you, Mike. Joey, what you got?
Yeah, yesterday I ran into a Spanish speaking gentleman, but it was literally like we were going into it. It was our second call again, and then his wife was supposed to be there. I could have sworn I heard her in the background, but he was just being super vague with everything. And it was like you said, just I was trying to drill in, like, do you have anything? He's like, I don't have anything in place, So I asked, like, well, what's your current plan in order for me to help you, Because I'm an advisor here. I said, so I was like, that's how I can better, serve you in this case. And like it was just like, trying to get any information from him, like, where do you move on to, like, that next in the script? Like, do you, like, because it's like he doesn't want to give me absolutely nothing. It's like, how can I continue that conversation without drilling in more into those uncomfortable questions that he didn't even want to give me his mortgage amount? Like, I gave him all the details that I had, right, versus email, his address. It was a proven mailer. So it was like, but then at that point he was just kind of like stonewalling me, and then I was like, I felt more like at that point I was drilling into him versus like trying to just discover more without trying to like be so direct. But it was kind of tough, That's where, like,
Yeah.
I feel like I get a lot of that pullback. It's like, okay, what do I ask them next then? Or what do I clarify then if they're not giving me any of that information other than like, hey, what's your plan? Well, it's none of your business. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Can I take a swing at this first?
No,
And you
not yet. Not yet, because I gotta jump off this call and head to another call. But as soon as I'm done, then yeah, you guys can continue. Joey, hey Joey, is it okay if I can I ask you a quick question? Just one question.
Sure.
How can I communicate with you that you're not sharing with me the information that will help me protect your family without offending you or becoming adversarial?
Okay.
How can I share that with you?
I don't know. I don't know you. So
No, I know you don't. You don't. And we're just getting to know each other. You you were interested in wanting to protect your family. Is that why we're here?
Yeah, but it was a while ago. Like like maybe when I bought the house like 5 years ago. So I don't know why you're calling.
Um, yeah. Do you still want to make sure your family's protected, or have you lost interest in that?
Um, no, he was like, I'd rather have my wife call me. I'd rather have my wife here. I was like, it's pretty much my wife here. She's not here, so I really don't want to disclose that information. She's not here because she's the one that handles everything. So,
Your wife.
but
Well, okay, great. And what information is making you feel uncomfortable with disclosing?
it's just personal information. Like, and I don't know some of that information.
Okay. Um, but you do know that you're wanting to make sure that your family's safe, secure, and protected. Are we at least on the same page on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let's just start from there.
Okay.
What I've heard so far is, and granted, hey Joey, if I ask you a question, you're uncomfortable, you don't know the answer, that's okay.
Okay.
You just let me know. It sounds like there's some things that we'll need to have your wife involved with because she's the expert, is what I'm hearing. Like that's the stuff that she handles.
Yes.
Okay. So why don't we just stay in terms of the stuff that you handle? I mean, if you obviously you sent this in for a reason because you're the protector of the family, right?
Yes.
All right, let's stay in that. What do you want to have happen? Like how do you want to protect the family? What position do you want them to be in if something happens to you?
I just want them to be in a good position so they don't have to worry.
Okay, what is that when you say good position about like what does that mean? We want to make sure that they don't have financial concerns or tell me a little more about how you're thinking about it.
That they don't lose the house. I mean, in any
Okay.
situation like that, I feel like if I was to go, it'd be for some weird natural causes. So I don't
Okay.
know. I really don't know what protection I need, but I feel like I had to have some type of protection for them.
Yeah, perfect. So look, your shoulders are already down and we're realigned. So
Okay.
if you're getting an adversarial conversation like that where the person's not responding to you, they're not opening up to you, you're sitting on the other side of that person. Like imagine a table.
Okay.
Did you guys know this? Like psychologically, if you're meeting with a man, men are used to this is like hardwired into our brain. We're used to sitting side by side because we're hunters.
Okay.
Okay, we're sitting side by side looking at prey, looking at the objective. If we're meeting with a woman, women are used to face where they can look you in the eye. But men, the only times that men are face to face is in an adversarial conflict. They're about to fight. That's when men are face to face. So
Okay.
just even if you're meeting with a client, never position yourself like directly across from a man, position yourself to the side because it just subconsciously that's there. But in this conversation, we want to do the same thing. You're not sharing information with me because you view me as an adversary. That's
Okay.
why you're not sharing with me. You view me as I'm trying to get something from you. I'm calling you trying to sell you something. So like we're not on the same page. We're not on the same team. You're
Okay.
on your family's team and I'm over here on my team and I'm trying to get you to give me something. That's how you're viewing it. So what I got to do is I have to realign us
Okay.
that we're playing on the same side. We're on the same team.
Okay.
So hey, you don't got to share anything with me that you're uncomfortable with. I'm here to help you. And if you don't want that help, hey, that's all good. We can part as friends. But you filled this out at some point because I'm going to take a guess here, but are you the protector of the family? That's why you filled this out. You want to make sure that they're safe, secure, protected, right?
Yeah.
He's going to say, yeah. And you say, okay, listen, I have the same objective and you and I may never work together. I got into this because I want to help families. I also want to help protect families. I'm also a protector. So you and I are on the same side. If there's anything you're uncomfortable with, just let me know. We'll move on. But it's okay if let's just talk about what we want to have happen with the family. And now we're realigned. We're on the same side. We're chasing the same goal. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that felt a little less friction. Okay, I see what you're saying. So just kind of just get on the same page with them, ask questions, be like, hey, I totally understand. You don't know me from Bob to your neighbor or whatever. Okay,
That's
appreciate
right.
that.
That's right. Guys, I got to take off. 5 minutes late, but appreciate your time. Love you guys. Mike, thanks for letting me take that, or sorry for not letting you take that. But appreciate you guys.